I want you to transcend realities.
I should just explain. Sarah was she was so up on proving her superpowers to me that she said, fine, if I'm not able to work on your chakras because you have a cursed ring that you have to destroy before my superpowers work, then you can send me somebody else that's going to have an open mind, and then I'll be able to prove my powers to them. And I went, okay, I'll send you somebody else that you can use your superpowers on. And I thought long and hard about what I was going to do about that. I have friends that are believers. I have friends that are total skeptics. And I have friends that are somewhere in between. She says, you haven't contacted me since. I have no messages or nothing from you. Well, Sarah, I can share the 10 times, I count it, 10 times since the spring, I've asked you, I tried to schedule it, I've given you every opportunity to come on here, and you wouldn't. One time you said that you were deathly ill and couldn't even talk. And in the same day, not me, but somebody else pointed out that you were posting selfies on Twitter all day in full hair and makeup. So you were so sick, you couldn't walk, you couldn't talk, you couldn't do the interview, but you were posting glam shots of yourself all day. You know, that's a sad thing. And again, one thing I want to mention is that the purpose of this video is not to damage her reputation. It's not to slag her or anything. It's to get to the bottom of the proof. Is her superpowers real or are they bullshit? That's my only intention here. Let's get back to the messages because it gets on and on. I said, you told me you can diagnose and help people's illnesses. The person I sent to you, Sarah, was not sick. He was not terminally sick. He was not sick at all. And you had no idea. Shouldn't you have known he wasn't terminally ill with your superpowers and all? So just to be clear, I did send her somebody. And I told her that he was terminally ill with cancer. He and I are friends. He happens to be a magician, mentalist, and hypnotist. I wanted to send somebody like me that could really give her superpowers a real test. So I send in somebody named Cedric Taylor. You can look him up on YouTube. It's Urban Entity TV he runs, and he's a hypnotist. He and I talked. I explained that I think she's using hypnotic inductions and cold reading. He had one reading with her, and he came back and said, she's absolutely using hypnotic inductions. We're attempting to, and she's using cold reading like any other fake psychic that he's ever talked to or encountered. So the person that I sent to her, which I told her, let's be clear, I told her that he was terminally ill with cancer. And she said, oh, well, I'd be happy to help him with that. Okay. So she previously told me that she could diagnose people's illnesses by looking at their auras, even over the phone. Why, Sarah? Why didn't you know that the person I sent to you wasn't sick? Shouldn't you have been able to tell that when you looked at his aura, you fraud, you con artist? Shouldn't you have been able to tell that? But no, you didn't tell that. You couldn't tell that. And you acted like he was going to die any day now. I have his notes here about how those readings went, right? She comes back to me and says, I worked on his aura, which was really bad, and he said he felt better. He felt the work. So basically you're saying you have him lie to me. Yeah, he did lie to you. He played along. This was a test. This was a test of Sarah R. Adams' superpowers. A test that Sarah R. Adams failed miserably. You failed miserably, Sarah R. Adams. Your superpowers aren't real. And when somebody went in there claiming to be a terminally ill cancer patient and talked to you on the phone, you had no idea that he wasn't even sick. Shouldn't you have known that? You're a psychic, right? She says, I work on people's energy fields, which affects them in a positive manner. Yeah, that's something you can't prove or disprove. I told him I cleared emotions. I never told him I was working on his cancer. Yes, you did. I told him I was working on where I felt his energy was fenced. I have hundreds of testimonials. Okay. And I reply, okay, so you had no idea he wasn't terminally ill. You previously told me you could diagnose people's illnesses by viewing their auras. Guess your superpowers failed you again. He felt nothing. He played along with you, and you had no idea you were getting punked. Guess your psychic powers failed you also. She replied, I told you I work on energy, which in turn often heals them. And then she says, well, this just shows you rigged this and you also lie. Yeah, okay, I rigged it. I wanted to test your superpowers. And this is the best test of the superpowers that I could think of. I reply, he's a mentalist and hypnotist, by the way, and agrees with me that you use hypnotic inductions. And if that fails you or you can't resort to standard hypnotic inductions, you use standard cold reading techniques all fake psychics use. He agrees with me. You use hypnotic induction techniques and cold reading techniques. He agrees with me that your superpowers are all bogus. I didn't rig anything. I tested your superpowers and psychic powers and you failed miserably. She says, you're also lying about how you said I would not do the show. No, I'm not. Here we are, Sarah R. Adams. Listen, I said that you could come on the show tonight. I gave you 10 opportunities to come on the show. I'm not lying when I say that you won't come on the show. How many times am I supposed to invite you? You've gotten 10 invitations. I've got screenshots of the 10 invitations, the 10 times I tried to schedule with you. And I went above and beyond. I said, I know you might be on a different time zone. I'll do it whenever you want, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. No reply. Next time, Sarah, I'm still trying to finish this interview. So if you'd like to do it, I could do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, anytime you want. Just let me know. No reply. And over and over and over again. I didn't lie when I said you wouldn't come on the show. You're not on the show. You're not on the show tonight. You could be. Oh, and by the way, just to be fair, she blocked me on Twitter and Facebook. So I really have no way of sending the invitation to her to be on the show. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to send it to her manager. And there's the StreamYard invitation. Or to Jinder Gill, her manager. You can come on too if you want, but I have to finish the presentation first. Okay, so let's get back to the messages. This is like 2 hours today. She's going back and forth. I said, say what you want. Your claimed superpowers failed. You don't have superpowers, Sarah. You were as ordinary as any person. Sorry to break it to you, but that is the reality of your superpower claims. Oh, and you know what? I can share this up until a certain point. So just so nobody thinks that I'm making any of this shit up, these are the actual messages between Sarah Adams and I. So you told me previously you can diagnose people's illnesses by viewing their auras. Why didn't you know he wasn't sick? It's because your superpowers are Sarah. She says, actually, I thought your friend was a bit creepy the way he spoke and was attempting to keep up my part of the deal. You were to send an unbiased person to get the results that way. I made my friend Cedric Taylor promise me that he would be fair and give you, enough rope to hang you. I mean, we talked honestly. I said to him, I know that you're familiar with these cold reading techniques and these hypnotic techniques. You're a hypnotist. I just want you to verify for me if she's using hypnotic induction techniques and cold reading, or if you actually feel anything. If you think her powers are real, come back to me and we'll talk about it. And he came back to me and said, fraud like all the rest. There's nothing special about her, except he agreed with me that it's quite rare that a fake psychic will take the time to actually learn hypnotic induction techniques. He agrees with me and my assessment of your fake superpowers. So I say, I sent you someone familiar with fake psychic techniques, and you used fake psychic techniques just as I knew you would. Cold reading is not superpowers, Sarah. She says, and I told you when I talked, I told him anything. I suggested if he was sick, he could look into alternative healing therapies. And I told him, I don't heal people. I work on clearing emotions and energy. You're an intuitive healer. That's the title you gave yourself. Now you're saying that you don't heal people? You work on clearing emotions and energy? Your title is intuitive psychic healer, Sarah Adams. You're backpedaling now because you know that you just got punked bad. I sent a hypnotist to you, a mentalist that is familiar with fake psychic techniques. And he nailed you and said, yeah, Steve, I agree with you. She's using cold reading. She's using hypnotic inductions. She doesn't have any superpowers. Now, and you feel like an don't you feel like an just a little bit, Sarah R. Adams. You didn't even know that he didn't have cancer. You didn't even know that he wasn't sick at all. And you're telling him, I have the notes. You're telling him like you're working on shrinking cancer cells and all this nonsense you told him. This word salad, bunch of nonsense. You're working on his quantum chakra, third eye, pineal gland, quantum entangled consciousness alter, and all this nonsense you told him. Don't you feel at least a little bit like an because you didn't know that he wasn't even sick and you're telling him that you're healing his cancer cells? And by the way, how dare you? If you really take money from people that have cancer and you tell them like you're shrinking their cancer cells, then you're a piece if you do that. And we have proof that you did it in at least this case.
What do you see with your mind's eye?